The water of the Catawba River lapped gently against the shore as the first police cruisers arrived, their blue and red lights cutting through the pre-dawn mist. Detective Marcus Reed stepped out of his vehicle, the gravel crunching beneath his worn boots. The call had come in at 5:17 a.m., a car spotted partially hidden among the riverside trees, a young woman inside, unmoving. As Reed approached the silver Honda Civic, he knew before he reached it. 15 years on homicide had taught him to recognize death from a distance. Something in the stillness, the unnatural angle of a head, the absence of life's subtle movements. Elena Mendez, 20 years old, sat in the driver's seat, her dark hair cascading over slumped shoulders. Her eyes, once bright according to the photos they'd later collect, now fixed on nothing. Around her neck, an unusual assembly of ligatures, a bungee cord with yellow hooks, a white athletic shoelace, and most peculiarly, a blue satin ribbon, the kind used for gift wrapping or hair accessories. "Who finds matches like this?" muttered Officer Daniels, the first responder who stood nearby, his face pale beneath the harsh portable lights they'd set up. 3 different things to strangle someone. Reed didn't answer immediately, studying the scene instead. The car's interior was otherwise undisturbed. No signs of a broader struggle. Elena's purse sat on the passenger seat, wallet inside, $37 untouched. This wasn't robbery. Anger, Reed finally replied. Or something personal. One ligature wasn't enough to express whatever they wanted to express. The morning was cool for early May, and mist hovered above the river as the forensics team worked methodically around the vehicle. Reed stepped back, surveying the surrounding area. 2 fishermen stood by their pickup truck about 50 yards away, being questioned by another officer. They had discovered the body while heading to an early morning fishing spot. They touched the car, Daniels informed Reed. Tried to help when they saw her, didn't realize she was already gone. Their prints will be on the driver's side door handle. Reed nodded, watching the men from a distance. One tall and thin, the other stocky with a red beard. Both looked shaken, but Reed had learned long ago that reactions could be misleading. By afternoon, the initial investigation was underway at UNC Charlotte's campus. Elena had been a sophomore, studying psychology with plans to become a therapist. Her disappearance yesterday hadn't immediately triggered alarms. College students often changed plans, stayed overnight with friends, or became immersed in study sessions as finals approached. "We have her on camera leaving the library at 6:43 p.m., explained the campus security officer, pointing to a grainy image on the monitor. Reed leaned closer, watching the footage of Elena walking confidently across the campus quad, backpack slung over one shoulder, phone in hand. She appeared to be texting someone. The footage followed her to the student parking lot where her silver Honda was parked. As she approached her car, she looked up, as if spotting someone. Her body language changed, not fearful, but surprised, perhaps pleased. She spoke briefly with someone off camera before getting into her car. "Can we see who she was talking to?" Reed asked, squinting at the monitor. "That's the problem," the security officer replied, tapping keys to change camera angles. "Whoever it was stayed just out of frame. All we can see is what might be an arm here." He pointed to a shadow at the edge of the screen. Then Elena sits in her car for about 3 minutes, still talking through the window to someone standing there before she drives off. Reed jotted notes in his small leather-bound pad. "We need her phone records and social media accounts. And I want to talk to her friends, whoever she was closest to." That afternoon, in a small interview room on campus, Reed met with Jenna Martinez and Ashley Kim, Elena's closest friends and roommates in their off-campus apartment. She'd been acting different the past few weeks, Jenna explained, twisting a tissue between her fingers. Happier, but also more secretive. "Secretive how?" Reed asked. "She'd get texts and smile at her phone but wouldn't tell us who they were from," Ashley added, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. "We thought maybe she was dating someone new." "Did she tell you that?" "Not directly," Jenna said. "But about 2 weeks ago, she mentioned meeting someone interesting. Older. Not a student. She said he was established, whatever that means. Did she mention a name? Both women shook their heads. Where did she meet him? She didn't say, Ashley replied. But she worked, at the Daily Grind, that coffee shop near the art district. She picked up extra shifts there this semester for spending money. Reed made a note to visit the coffee shop next. The Daily Grind occupied a corner in the city's trendy arts district, its exposed brick walls and industrial lighting attracting both students and young professionals. The manager, a woman in her 30s with a sleeve of colorful tattoos, looked genuinely distraught when Reed showed her Elena's photo. She was one of my best baristas, she said, voice cracking slightly. Customers loved her. Always remembered their orders, their names. Was there anyone who paid her special attention? Regular customers who might have seemed too interested. The manager hesitated, then lowered her voice. There was this one guy, Marcus. Regular customer. Professional type, always in business casual. He'd come in during her shifts, stay for hours working on his laptop. Started asking for her schedule. You know his last name? No, but, she paused, uncomfortable. About a month ago, Elena mentioned he'd been waiting by her car after closing. Said he just wanted to talk, but it freaked her out. I told her to tell me if it happened again, and I'd handle it. Did it happen again? She never mentioned it, but... The manager's eyes drifted to a man behind the counter, making espresso drinks with mechanical precision. Our other barista, Tyler, he and Elena didn't get along after that. I think he was jealous of the attention she got. Tyler Manning proved difficult to interview. Thin and tense, with sharp features and eyes that never quite met Reed's, he answered questions with minimal words. I barely knew her, he insisted, though the manager had mentioned they'd worked the same shifts for months. We weren't friends. The manager mentioned some tension between you two. Tyler's jaw tightened. She made things up. Said I was watching her or whatever. I wasn't. She just liked being the center of attention. Where were you Tuesday night? Home. Watching Netflix. Alone. His tone suggested he knew how weak the alibi sounded. Look, I didn't like her, but I wouldn't hurt her. That's crazy. Reed left his card, unconvinced. That evening, as Reed reviewed the initial crime scene photos in his dimly lit office, his partner Detective Sofia Vargas brought coffee and news. We got preliminary DNA results from the scene, she said, setting a steaming cup on his desk. Multiple profiles on that plastic bag found near the body. The one with fishing tackle? Yeah. Looks like it changed hands a lot. But get this, those two fishermen who found the body. Their DNA is on it. Reed sat up straighter. That's interesting. They didn't mention handling any bag. Exactly. And one of them, James Howell, has a record. Assault charge 5 years ago, girlfriend dropped it later. Further investigation revealed the fishermen had suspiciously inconsistent stories about their movements that morning. James Howell and Peter Renfield were brought in for questioning the next day. Under pressure, their alibis crumbled. Both admitted to finding Elena earlier than they'd initially claimed, and to moving some items at the scene before calling police, including the plastic bag containing fishing line and hooks. We thought it looked bad, Howell explained, sweating under the interrogation room lights. It was our bag, but we didn't kill her. We were just fishing that spot the day before and must have left it. DNA evidence placed them at the scene, and their changing stories made them prime suspects. With mounting pressure from the public and Elena's distraught parents demanding justice, arrests were made. The prosecution built a case arguing the men encountered Elena at the riverside spot, attempted to assault her, and killed her when she resisted. Despite their continued protests of innocence, both men were convicted. The case was declared solved, and Detective Reed was reassigned to new investigations, though something about the resolution never sat right with him. 7 years passed. Reed had transferred to a different precinct, made detective sergeant, divorced, and remarried. The Mendez case had become a distant memory until his phone rang one Tuesday afternoon. "Detective Reed? This is Paula Chen from the Innocence Project. We need to talk about Elena Mendez." The new forensic analysis was damning, not of the convicted men, but of the investigation itself. The plastic bag that had been central to the prosecution's case had been improperly collected and stored. More sophisticated DNA testing revealed dozens of partial profiles, suggesting the bag had been handled by many people before being found near Elena's body. More crucially, fibers found on the ligatures hadn't been fully analyzed during the original investigation. They matched neither the fisherman's clothing nor anything in Elena's possession. The case was rushed, Chen explained as they sat in Reed's office reviewing the new findings. There was pressure to close it, and these men made convenient suspects. Reed felt a familiar weight of responsibility. "I was transferred off the case before it went to trial. The detective who took over." He didn't finish the sentence. Everyone knew Detective Harris's reputation for closing cases quickly, sometimes too quickly. When the convictions were overturned 3 months later, Reed requested to be reassigned to the now cold case. His new partner, Detective Andre Williams, was skeptical. 7 years cold, Reed. You know the odds. I know. But I missed something the first time. They started again from the beginning. Reviewing evidence, re-interviewing witnesses whose memories had faded with time. Elena's friends had graduated, moved away, started careers and families. The daily grind had new management. The old manager couldn't recall the name of the customer who had shown interest in Elena. But one lead resurfaced. Tyler Manning, the former co-worker, had left Charlotte years ago after the investigation initially focused elsewhere. A background check revealed a troubling pattern. Wherever Tyler moved, complaints followed. Workplace harassment citations in Raleigh, a restraining order in Atlanta filed by a female co-worker. "He's our guy," Williams insisted after discovering these records. He was fixated on her, had access to her schedule, knew her routines. Reed wasn't convinced it was that simple. But what about the mystery man she was dating? The older, established, guy her friends mentioned. "We never identified him." The breakthrough came unexpectedly, from Elena's mother. In the years since her daughter's death, Mrs. Mendez had preserved Elena's belongings exactly as they were, including her laptop and a box of mementos. "I could never bring myself to go through everything," she explained, tears welling in her eyes as she handed Reed a small decorative box. "But when you called about reopening the case, I finally did." Inside the box, beneath concert tickets and photos, lay a small notebook. Elena's journal, not a daily diary, but sporadic entries about significant events. The most recent entries mentioned someone named Marcus, describing him as thoughtful, intelligent, and exciting. But there was something else: unease about his intensity, his questions about her schedule, his unexpected appearances. The final entry, dated 3 days before her death, contained a single disturbing line: "M followed me again today. Says it's because he worries. I don't know if this is normal or if I should be concerned." Marcus, Reed murmured, the name triggering his memory. The coffee shop manager mentioned a customer named Marcus who'd been asking about Elena's schedule. Further investigation revealed a Marcus Phillips, 34, who had been a regular at the daily grind during Elena's employment. A financial consultant whose office was nearby. He had no criminal record, but a search of his social media showed a pattern of following and commenting on posts from much younger women. When they brought him in for questioning, Phillips appeared genuinely shocked by Elena's death, claiming he'd been out of town during the time of the murder, a claim easily verified by hotel records and airport security footage from a business trip to Boston. "I liked her," he admitted. "Maybe I came on too strong sometimes. But I would never hurt her. Never." Reed believed him, which left them back where they started, with Tyler Manning, who had vanished after moving from Atlanta 6 months earlier. The case went cold again, until a routine fingerprint match from an assault case in Seattle flagged Manning's prints. He was brought back to Charlotte, sullen and defensive, but ultimately broke under Reed and Williams' careful interrogation. "She humiliated me," he finally admitted, his composure cracking after hours of questioning. "Told everyone I was stalking her when I was just being friendly. Got me reprimanded at work. Then I see her with that older guy, letting him flirt with her, follow her around. Marcus Phillips. I don't know his name. Suit guy. She'd laugh at his jokes, let him hang around for hours." His voice grew bitter. "So I followed her that night. Saw her talking to someone at her car, then driving off. I followed her to the river. Who was she meeting there?" Manning's eyes darted away. "No one. She just parked, sat there looking at her phone. I knocked on her window. She looked scared when she saw it was me. Then what happened? I just wanted to talk, to make her understand she'd ruined things for me. But she wouldn't listen, tried to drive away." His face contorted with remembered rage. "I grabbed whatever I could find, the cord from my trunk, her shoelace when we struggled. The ribbon." He paused. The ribbon was hers. From her hair. The confession solved one mystery but created another. If Manning had killed Elena, who was the person she'd been seen talking to at her car? Who had she been texting so happily in the weeks before her death? Elena's parents, while relieved that their daughter's killer had finally been caught, remained convinced that the original investigation had missed crucial connections. The mysterious older boyfriend had never been conclusively identified. Marcus Phillips had an alibi, but Elena's journal entries suggested deeper concerns about someone in her life. 2 weeks after Manning's confession, a blue satin ribbon identical to the one used in the murder was mailed anonymously to the police station, addressed to Detective Reed. No note, no fingerprints, no useful DNA. Just a ribbon, a message that someone else knew details of the crime that had never been released to the public. As Reed carefully placed this new evidence in a case file that refused to stay closed, he couldn't shake the feeling that the true story of what happened to Elena Mendez that night by the Catawba River remained partially hidden, like the current flowing beneath the river's deceptively calm surface. Perhaps some mysteries were never meant to be fully solved. Or perhaps the final answer was still out there, waiting to be discovered by someone who knew where to look, and what questions remained to be asked in the silence that followed a young woman's untimely death.